Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. It's so great to see everyone here in person and see your smiling, beautiful faces. It's my pleasure to get us started by welcoming Doug Jones, Vice President and Financial Advisor of Charles Schwab, for our invocation. Doug?
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for your amazing power and work in our daily lives. Thank you for your goodness and for your blessings over us. We're grateful for the hope you bring, even through the toughest times, and strengthening us for your purposes. Please continue to instill your message in us and share it with others in need of it. We ask you to guide our leaders and government officials tasked with difficult decisions during these unprecedented times. Continue to watch over the safety of our brave men and women of our armed forces here and abroad, and bring solace to the families that support them. Help us set our eyes and our hearts on you afresh, renew our spirits, and help with your peace and joy. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Wesley. You may be seated. By the Wesley Gentle on the keys there. He's the Director of Advancement for the Arts Council. Let's hear it for Wesley, Arts Council of Fort Worth. So we started a new tradition this year of reciting the four-way test. Remember, this is how Rotary was founded. These are the four pillars of our organization. So if you'll, at home and in person, if you'll say it along with me. Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it promote goodwill and better friendships? And number four, will be beneficial to all concerned. Very good, thank you. And speaking of beneficial, I'd like to thank our sponsor today. Our sponsor today is Charles Schwab, and I'd like to read a little something about them. They offer banking, commercial banking, trading platform, wealth management. They have over 360 branches around the U.S. and the U.K. They are the 13th largest banking institution in the United States, and they're headquartered here, right here in Westlake, Texas. Would you help me thank Charles Schwab, our sponsor for today? Excellent. Now, to welcome our visiting Rotarians and guests, it is my great pleasure to welcome President-elect nominee and board member and executive business health with Texas Health Services, Sean Snell. Sean?
Hi, everyone. So it's my pleasure to welcome those that are visiting with us today, both in the room and online. When I call your name, we have a reasonable number, so please stand so we can all acknowledge that you're here with us. First, our visitors here in the room, Margaret Bowes, who is a Rotaract member, I believe, guest of Shanna Saldana. We have Eric Short, who is also a member of the Fort Worth International Club, but he's particularly a guest of our district governor, Roger Pascal. And we have Will Rucker, who's a guest of Jared Sloan. For visiting Rotarians, I'm delighted to welcome back Janelle Kavanaugh. Please stand, Janelle. Many of you, no doubt, know Janelle. She's a former member of our club for a number of years. She is currently with Fort Worth East. Come back anytime and visit. And she's a lieutenant governor for our district. We also have Hyacinth Onyekane. And Hyacinth, please stand. He's our assistant district governor, also with the Fort Worth International Club. And that's it. So for those of you who are joining online, please feel free to write in the chat box your name and any follow-up information, and certainly feel free to come visit us here in the room and join us for lunch. Thanks.
Thank you, Sean. So people often ask me, Carlo, as president, what keeps you up at night? And I always answer one very simple thing, and it's that I'm standing up here and I'm introducing the next person on my agenda, and they are not here. That is my worst nightmare. And so that almost happened today, because I was standing here and we have a great newscaster lined up. And so it's 12 o'clock, it's 12:05, it's 12:09, and our newscaster isn't here. So what do you do when the newscaster isn't here? But thankfully, he has shown up. Would you please help me welcome, he's the president and CEO of Fletcher Public Relations Consulting, Mr. John Fletcher, for our newscast as usual. John?
Thank you. I couldn't help it. Twinkies were on sale at Walgreens. I had to stop. Well, I feel as welcome as a male Anglo reporter at Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot's news conference. Oh, today's news is the truth and nothing but the truth, or stuff that could be true or at least should be. Today's memo day, so write yourself a memo to get some rest. It's also bike to work day, so I wonder if Mayor Betsy did that today. Also, it's rapture day, so if I disappear and you're still here suddenly, you might want to be wondering about your spiritual life. So if suddenly you see, be concerned. Anyway, Microsoft founder Bill Gates has been in the news lately, first about his upcoming divorce and then about revelations of soliciting relationships with Microsoft employees over the years. He's apparently not a choir boy. It seems his infidelity began when he attempted to have an affair with his virtual assistant, Cortana. He said it was not his fault because she was a flirt. She was constantly saying things like, "I love you too, Bill," and "Hey, have you been working out?" Anyway, yet another one of our nation's most respected leaders has fallen into moral temptation. You read the news, you've seen men looking into magazines they shouldn't look at, looking at websites. Well, just this week, Dave Ramsey, the author of The Total Money Makeover, was embarrassed when his wife caught him thumbing through the pages of credit card applications. Has the man no shame? In political news, Jen Psaki has circled back and said that the United States domestic economy is in outstanding condition if you don't consider the price of food, gas, and housing. Cybersecurity has become a much larger priority in the past week with the hacking of the Colonial Pipeline, where the company paid a $4.4 million ransom to Russian hackers. I understand that, no kidding. This really is the truth. This part is the truth. Large cities and counties are experiencing as many as 1,000 attempts per hour around people trying to breach their firewalls. So if you receive a clever email from President Carlo offering you a hilarious joke, do not click on his link. In a related story, Congress has announced a breakthrough just moments ago. That's why I was running it tight. I was listening to the story. Finally passing a comprehensive piece of bipartisan legislation as part of President Biden's infrastructure program. As you know, our nation's leaders are dealing with something very serious, the shortage of Chick-fil-A sauce, and they have now approved that company to run its legendary sauce through the Keystone Pipeline. Newspapers around the nation have cut staff in their newsrooms. As a result, headline writers, which is a very skilled position, have been removed. And so some of the quality headlines are now such as, from the Coventry Telegraph, "Racist swans attack students. Quintuplets born 15 months early." Think about that. Not weeks, months. Forecasters call for weather on Monday. And we hate math, say 4 in 10 Americans, the majority of Americans. Now, I don't know about you, but in old school, at my age, 40% was not the majority, but apparently in part of the new math, it is today. And in our world of politics, the New York Attorney General announced it's investigating the Trump Organization for criminal activity. Of course, over 90% of what the New York government does could be considered criminal activity. More New York news, the state's Attorney General says that former President Trump illegally inflated his worth. They hope to prove that he was only capable of making America good again. Here's the latest on the Mideast ceasefire. Egypt is negotiating under Islamic law, Israel is negotiating under Judaic law, and America is negotiating under Murphy's law. as part of the new Middle East ceasefire, and it's true, we all know, as part of the new ceasefire, Israel and Palestine will just lob giant sacks of American taxpayer dollars at each other. President Biden is taking a victory lap after the Middle East ceasefire. Next up, he's promised to settle the dust up between the Roadrunner and the Coyote. In the constantly evolving world of who identifies as this or that, shirts are popping up all around America that read, "I identify as being vaccinated." Dr. Fauci says, that's good enough for him. No, wait, I got to think about it. No, it's okay, wait a second. Okay, let's go ask the teachers union. So here in Texas, the race is on for removing mask mandates. Once Governor Abbott announced earlier this week that masks would be no longer required effective today, Friday, County Judge Glenn Whitley, our good friend, said, and Rotarian, said, can we make this retroactive to yesterday so I can be really first? The highly charged political posturing within the Oscars has led to historically low viewing numbers. Some of the programs that drew significantly higher ratings this year include Wilford Brimley's diabetes commercial, the YouTube live stream of paint drying, and tutorial to repair a Kenmore Series 8 washing machine. In sports, we're less than a week away, as we see Schwab, less than a week away from the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial. The good news keeps rolling in. In the last couple of days, former champion Sergio Garcia and two-time champion Phil Mickelson confirmed they will be playing. So 3 of the world's top 10 are going to be here in Fort Worth this next week. And the Texas Rangers are on a roll with 9 wins in their last 9 losses in their last 10 games. Including a no-hitter and a shutout in 2 consecutive nights. One Ranger coach did say the team is exceeding expectations. They did win 1 of the 10 games. For the rest of the season, the Rangers are seeking baseball immortality. I don't know if you're aware of this, but think about this. They're seeking to be the first major league team in history to have 3 no-hitters thrown against them in a single season. So far, in just less than 7 weeks, they've already had 2. That has tied the record, but they can beat that record, and any given night that you go could be that magical night, so save your ticket. It could be worth something someday. Then finally, yes, it's here. Thank you. No matter where you stand on social justice, you have to appreciate the creativity of the Italians. In the midst of the launch of Black Lives Matter, one Italian strategically inserted the letter O for it to read, you guessed it, Black Olives Matter. And that's Rotary News.
My, oh my. Thanks, John. You're almost forgiven. All right, now it's time to spotlight one of our most popular committees, and if you were at the Rotary Social on Monday, you will know why this committee is so popular. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Joe Michaels, the chair of the Social Committee, to talk about all the great things that the Social Committee is doing. Dr. Michaels? For a very brief 2-minute announcement.
Very brief. You know, as a recovering academic, I'm not sure I know very brief. We're very fortunate to have a social committee here in Rotary. This last year, when Carlo asked me to lead that committee, I was all fired up. This was obviously in July, so July happens, and we had 5 or 6 different functions planned, and we couldn't do anything. We just flat couldn't do anything, or we elected not to do anything. There were some members that said, to hell with it. We're all adults. If we want to do something, you should do it. I said, you know, I came from a chain of command operation, so being the chain of command type of guy that I was trained to be for 30 years, we just followed what the rules were. But last Monday night, we had a function at WRG. Greg Carter said, I want to have a function, and we said, great. We had a function there, and Shanna Saldana was our leader in that project. Shanna and I started out the year, she said, I know about food. And of course, I knew she knew about food because I see her fancy postings on Facebook all the time. So she said, you get it set up, I'll take care of it. So Shanna took care of it, along with Betty Rogers, Catherine Bryan, and Jeanette Johnson. We had 70 people at WRG, and we had a blast. If you weren't able to come or elected not to come, you missed out on a good time. Now, I've got good news. We had such a good time, we're fixing to do it again. And Shannon's going to tell you that we're going to go someplace that I suspect none of you have ever been. I know in the 9 years I've been here in Fort Worth, I've not been to where we're going. Have been invited several times, and I think everybody else has as well. But by golly, Shannon has figured out how we're going to do it, and we're going to do it. So pay attention. I think it's probably going to happen in July. We're going to have a fun time. The social committee didn't go quite as fast as I had hoped this year, but it went. So, Mr. President, I think I've taken my 2 minutes, no more than that. That's it. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Joe. So for all you Rotarians watching online and in the room, whenever you get your dues renewal notices, you have the option to donate to the Rotary Endowment and the Children's Fund. And you may wonder, well, what happens to that money? Well, we're able to grant that out in the form of grants to worthwhile projects, nonprofits, and other organizations. So to give us our most recent grant award announcement to a very deserving organization, it's my pleasure to welcome Elliot Goldman, founder of GL2 Partners. Elliot?
Thank you, President Carlo. I'm super excited about this organization. This grant this time is for an organization called the Wellman Project, and Taylor's here from the Wellman Project. And my 10-second elevator pitch about the organization is, it's the food bank for stuff that teachers need, teachers and nonprofits need. So, and we were able to grant $4,830 to the Wellman Project. One of the most important things they have is they have a makerspace, and in that makerspace, they have a 3D printer, which is a big popular thing right now. And instead of having to buy the pellets, they wanted a shredder to shred the plastic up and make their pellets for the 3D printer. So we're super excited about that. And so Taylor's here. We're going to make the presentation of the check, and then Taylor, if you'll just tell the members of the Rotary Club what other types of things that you guys can use and need for donations, and then how to get a hold of you either for a donation or if they have a teacher who has needs in their classrooms. So that'd be great. Love that.
Hi, I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of the thousands of teachers and students that this is going to benefit. We're so excited to be able to offer this to them. Thanks to you guys. You can go on our website to schedule an appointment to donate stuff if you have things that your company doesn't need or that you don't need. We take a little bit of everything. Teachers are always needing desk chairs and basic office supplies, paper, pencils, whatever you don't have, whatever you have. We want to take that weird stuff and find those curriculum enhancing things that we can do with them so that kids have hands-on learning in their classrooms. And we also always need volunteers. You can sign up on our website to do that as well. And if you know a teacher or a nonprofit that needs stuff, please send them to us. We are open Wednesday through Sunday, and they can just come by anytime and take whatever they need for their program. It's all free, and we're really happy to be here. Come visit us. Our new location is next to Swiss Pastry Shop on Vickery, so stop in anytime and come check us out. Thank you.
And I'll say a little more about Taylor and her work. I visited 2 years ago the Wellman Project, and they were behind a church in this huge warehouse. It was the middle of August. There was no air conditioning. It was stacked literally. Taylor got up on these shelves. There were no, I mean, it was a HIPAA like hazard waiting to happen. So we're so proud you've taken that, really embraced it from a small grassroots organization, now winning awards and grants. So we're so proud to partner with you on that. So thank you for all the work that you do. All right, next up, it's time for 2 first readings, and to help us with that, it's my pleasure to welcome Secretary Blake Morman, Acting Director of Sales and Marketing for Fort Worth Convention Center. Blake?
All right. Thank you, President Carlo. So yes, we have 2 first readings today. The first is Mr. William M. Johnson, Classification, Municipal Government, Title, Director of Transportation and Public Works, Company, City of Fort Worth, and his proposer was his Kappa fraternity brother, Ty Stimson. The next one is Mr. Jeffrey Postel. General contracting is his classification, title, owner and CEO, company, Postel Group, proposer, Robert J. Mitchell. If no written objection is received in the Rotary office by next meeting, Friday, June 4th, these proposals will be given second readings and voted on by the club. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Blake. So now we have 4 new member introductions today. Thanks to all of you, all of your hard work in bringing guests. Many are a result of the great work from the Rotary Minority Business Awards. So it's my pleasure now to introduce 4 members. I'll introduce them one at a time and have them come up. We'll say a little something brief, and then they're going to tell you the most interesting thing about them. So get ready. Here we go. First up is Aubry Gideon. She's the Vice President and Trust Officer of First Financial Trust. I'm honored to propose her, and she's going to tell us a little something interesting about herself. Aubry?
Interesting about me, I once passed out from altitude sickness on the side of a volcano in Guatemala and had to be carried down by my best friend's older brother, which was highly embarrassing because I was in early college and he was hot. And all I remember in my semi-conscious haze was the shocked faces of local farmers that had probably never seen a white girl. I'm not made for international diplomacy.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Aubry. Note to self, if you plan on going mountain climbing, invite a friend if you go with Aubry. Next up is Mr. Justin Rutledge. He is the market president for Truist Bank. I'm honored to propose him. So Justin, come on up and tell us the most interesting thing about yourself.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. The most interesting thing about me was going to be, my name's actually Justin and not Jason. It was listed in the program. Good to be here this afternoon. I'm actually happy to be back in Rotary. Was a member of the club a few years ago. Said yes to too many things, had to step away. Happy to be back. Originally from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I've been in Fort Worth for 6 years. As Carlos said, market president for Truist Bank. Previously BB&T, we did a merger with SunTrust in December of 19. And so we're full steam ahead with the merger, and happy to be here. Thanks.
Good to have you back. Here you go. We'll get that fixed. Justin, great to have you back. Thank you for being here. Next up, we have proposer Tim Halden has proposed Mr. Ed Mcglinn. So if they could both make their way up to the stage. Ed is the managing director for Larkin Addison LLC, and Tim will give a short introduction. Tim?
Thank you, President Carlo. Stole some of my thunder, so let's see. Hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce the newest member of the Fort Worth Downtown Rotary Club, Ed Mcglinn. Ed is the founder and managing director of Larkin Addison Specialty Insurance, a boutique commercial insurance agency with clients across the state and other states as well. I became friends with Ed through the Fort Worth chapter of the Texas X's, where we served on the board together. And I would say Ed would give you the shirt off his back, but don't ask for his boots.
Thanks, Tim. I'm a little shorter than most. I'm very excited to become involved with Rotary. I'm honored to be accepted in this highly esteemed group of people and look forward to knowing everyone better over the coming weeks and months. And a little bit about myself. I grew up in Austin back when it was a quaint college town before it became the 3rd largest city in California. It's always interesting to read about how a Californian discovered great barbecue in Austin. I don't know, have you ever had barbecue in California? It ain't that great, nor is the Mexican food, in my opinion. And back when I was growing up, the best restaurant in town was Steak and Ale, and that was long before you could find $100 plates of tiny food on every corner in Austin. Crazy place, but I'm a University of Texas graduate by nature, by growing up there, and a diehard Longhorn football fan, hook 'em. And a little known fact about myself, when I was in 2nd grade, I somehow was bribed by my older sister, who was a high school senior at the time. I was the youngest of 6 kids. and I was bribed to become the junior king at homecoming. I have scant recollection of what the duties were that came with this lofty title, but I do have photographic evidence. Unfortunately, I didn't get it here in time to get on a slide. But you can see a picture of me sitting next to the homecoming queen, looking as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. And it's hard to recognize me with all the hair, because it was at least third grade before I began the path to baldness. And I'm sure that bow tie was tied with no assistance whatsoever from my mother. Anyway, thanks again, everyone. I'm excited to be here.
Congratulations. Yeah, happy to have you here. Yeah, thank you. Isn't he a pistol? You're going to fit right in, Ed. We're going to recruit you for the newscast one day. Don't you think? He'd be great for the newscast. All right, and finally, we have someone who's a very good friend to this club, and many of you know her, Ms. Jennifer Trevino, and she will be introduced by her proposer, Michelle Krim. Ladies?
So Jennifer has an amazing career, both in corporate and the nonprofit sector. She's been with H-E-B Grocery Store, Radio Shack, UNT Health Science Center, Girls Inc. of Tarrant County, and she now serves as the Executive Director of Leadership Fort Worth. I've known Jennifer for, I had to stop and count, 14 plus years, something like that, when we both worked at UNT Health Science Center. So I can tell you two things about Jennifer that you will not find in her official bio or her LinkedIn profile. Number one is if you see her and she's wearing a green jacket and using a green pen, it's not an accident. She color coordinates her outfits with her pins. Number two, she is the saver of weddings. Yes, it's an official title, saver of weddings. So what happens when you wake up the morning of your wedding and it's an AM wedding and your flower bouquets have all turned brown? Who are you gonna call? You text Jennifer, give her the details, give her the instructions, go to Central Market, get these flowers, go to the chapel, other magical people reassembled the flowers, and nobody could tell. It was beautiful. So with a Snoopy happy dance, I'm excited to welcome Jennifer to our club.
Thanks, Michelle. And in case you're wondering, we didn't color coordinate today. It just happened. The blue happened. But thank you so much for welcoming me to the organization. I've been a guest many times. I've been asked to join, and finally the stars aligned, and I'm really excited to be part of this great organization. Something a little interesting about me, kind of on the wedding theme. Some of you may have heard this. Annette can't be the stealer of thunder here, but on the wedding front, so I got married in Las Vegas on purpose. My husband and I eloped, or didn't elope, but we got married on purpose at the Chapel of the Bells on the Strip, the same chapel that my parents eloped to in 1970. So we figured when 2002 we got married, it worked for them, we'd do it again. And so it's kind of a neat thing for our family. So again, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jennifer. Lots of stories about love today at the Rotary Club. Jennifer, we're so happy to have you, and congratulations on your new position at Leadership Fort Worth. All right, folks, for every $1,000 you give, I didn't know if you were aware of this, as a member, for every $1,000 you give, you receive a special award, and this is the highest honor that you can receive as a member of the Rotary Club. We have one honor to bestow upon our very own Dr. Joe Michaels, who is the principal for Solomon Bruce Consulting. So Dr. Joe Michaels, please come forward to receive your Paul Harris Fellow.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is indeed a privilege and honor. This is the third one that I have received. I know we've got several members in our club that have several more than that. Carla talked a minute ago about love. We talk about the fact that we have to take care of each other. The Paul Harris Fellow, being able to have the ability to give resources back to the Rotary Foundation, is able to help love somebody in another world, another continent, another world actually, by virtue of the fact that I have the ability to share. And I think sharing is the key. And that's what we do here at Rotary. So I'm very humbled and honored to receive this today, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. And I'll also ask our district governor to talk a little bit more about how we can all become a Paul Harris Fellow during his comments. So now it's my pleasure to welcome our very own President-elect, Courtney Lewis, to introduce our speaker of the day. Courtney is the Vice President and Team Leader of North Texas Middle Market Banking for Bancorp South. Courtney?
Thank you. It's great to see everybody. So today we have Roger Pascal, our district governor, and Roger is a lifelong Texan raised on a 4,000-acre cattle ranch in Central Texas. He started an auto parts business, which eventually grew from a garage to 5 locations in 4 states. He's also an actor. He acts TV, stage, and movies, so he's also entertaining. He's an author, speaker, entrepreneur. He's a real estate investor, trainer, a coach. There's not much that he cannot do. He and his wife, Linda Jean, are licensed realtors, and they have the Pascal Group Realtors. He has 2 children, 5 grandchildren, and lives in North Richland, Texas, and also Tyler, Texas. He's been a Rotarian since 1989, and he was a past assistant governor, visions team, and RILA counselor, and he is our 2021 district governor for Rotary District 5790. Let's give him a Fort Worth Club Rotary welcome, please.
Thank you, Courtney. We'll start out a little late, but you know, you've got this for about a month and a week. So this is our yearly banner that we have here, and this is our theme, Rotary Opens Opportunities. I put a mask on there so anybody looking at this will remember what year this was. So Carlo, I present that to you, and the theme pin, I present that to you for this year. You can wear that for the next 5 weeks, and you can chunk it. So, and then we have more theme pins on the table up there if you want to get that. So, thank you, Roger. Very good. Thank you so much. I asked Eric to be up here today, one, because y'all are the oldest club in our district. You're the first club in our district. So, I asked him to come up here to help me out for the hearing impaired that we have here today. So here we go. I am honored to be here today.
I am honored to be here today.
I am honored to be your district governor.
Thank you very much.
And try not to get that food. We have a mask up there. We're late on that. Sort of like the work I do is I tell people all the time, I'm like a blister. I show up when the work's done. So, but he's got some masks he's going to throw out to a few of y'all out here, but we have more. There you go, Joe. So, thank you so much. We have 74 clubs in our district. Our district spans 31 counties in north central Texas. We go as far east as DFW Airport, as far north as the Oklahoma border, as far south as Brownwood, and as far west as west of Abilene and Wichita Falls. It's been an honor for me to have been your district governor this year and to come to all the different clubs in our district. I think this is my 85th or 86th club meeting this year. The math doesn't work because 74 clubs, but this is my second time I've been live here at your club. So here we go, and my first time to speak. So thank you so much for being here today. This is always a fun club. When we got here today, I was in the parking garage, and I asked Joe, I said, what's the quickest way to the Rotary Club? And he said, are you taking the stairs or the elevator? And I said, well, the elevator. And he says, that's the quickest way. So, that's right. So, and then Eric, I really appreciate Eric being here today. He's a lifelong friend. We've been friends for over 20 years, and I can always depend on him doing various things. Eric, I've known him since when he had a full head of hair, and now he doesn't, but he carries a comb with him everywhere he goes. He just can't part with it. I'll be here all day. I'll be here late all day here. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. There we go. And all right. My speech today is about how Rotary has opened opportunities for me. The people that I've met, the friends that I've made, and literally everything, every aspect about Rotary that we have. I treasure every relationship I've ever built within Rotary. And believe me, that's huge, because I've made so many friends, so many acquaintances in Rotary. It is just mind-boggling for me. 31 years ago, I was invited to come to my first Rotary meeting. My brother and I were in business. Our offices were side by side. We saw each other every day, all day, and he had been a Rotarian for 4 years, and he never once invited me to a Rotary club. There you go. All I knew about Rotary was he would go someplace on Tuesdays at lunch, and sometimes about twice a year, he'd come to me and go, "Today's Rotary, and I have to do the prayer." And I'm like, okay, I have no idea what that's about. So when Dave, my friend, asked me to come to a Rotary Club meeting, my first question was, "Is that like a prayer group, or what do y'all do in Rotary?" And he kind of looks at me and says, No, we're like-minded business people, and we solve problems. That's what we are. So I went to my first meeting. I realized this is what I need to be. This is where I need to be, because I needed mentorship that wasn't from my family and wasn't from my industry. And I've gotten incredible mentorship from Rotary, and that's what we really need to be pushing for when we talk to somebody about Rotary. Where else can we come and have a meeting with the top business leaders in our community and just have a social get-together? So this is what Rotary is to me. About 2 years into being in Rotary, our then district governor, Conrad Heed. If anybody here knows Conrad, you're part of the Wine Fellowship, because that's kind of what he does. Conrad and I were talking, and I owned a location out in Tucson, Arizona, and I mentioned to him that I was going to be driving out there the next day. He said, "Hey, our district is working on a program with the Fort Worth Zoo. Can you carry some paperwork out there for me?" And I said, "Sure." And it was before really FedEx or anything like that. So he brings me the paperwork, and the next day I drive to Tucson. When I get there, I look at the address, and it's only a block and a half or 2 blocks away from my business out there, so it's real convenient. And so I go there. If you've ever been to Tucson, you know everything there is made out of adobe brick, and most everything's a single-story building, and there's no signage on the building, just an address. So I carry this paperwork, I go into the office, and I go to the receptionist desk, and I said, "Hey, I'm here from the North Texas Rotary District, Rotary Clubs, and the Fort Worth Zoo." Before the receptionist could say anything, I hear a voice from the corner office, and this lady blurts out, "Hey, is that Rotary guy? Tell him to come on in here, I want to look at that paperwork." So I go in her office, she asked me to sit down, but who am I sitting with? I'm sitting with Jane Goodall, which is very well known for her work with primates, in particular chimpanzees. I had a private one-on-one meeting with Jane Goodall for about 30 minutes. She did not want to talk about her foundation. She did not want to talk about her. She wanted to know more about Rotary and know more about me. Okay, that opportunity would have never happened if it wasn't for joining Rotary. My club, the Fort Worth International Club, used to be a breakfast club, and we had one of your members that would make up at our club a couple of times a month. And he was a former mayor of Arlington, and then he became a judge, and that was Mayor Tom Vandergriff. Tom Vandergriff, some of y'all may know this story because he was in your club, but Tom, Judge Tom Vandergriff, told me this story several times, and I confirmed it through his daughter-in-law, about his day in his life when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. He was invited to meet with the president in his hotel room that morning before breakfast. They had a private one-on-one conversation, various things. He didn't go into detail what they talked about. As they waited for the First Lady, Jackie, to get ready. When she got ready, they went down and had breakfast together. And then he accompanied the president to the president's very famous last speech in Fort Worth at the Fort Worth Chamber, which is on a monolith down here by the Water Gardens. And he says, then he had a couple of, he left, he said his goodbyes, he had a couple of meetings that day, never turned on his car radio. It's 1963. He drives home, he pulls up in his driveway, and his wife and his housekeeper come out and they're crying. And that's when he found out that the president had been shot. The ironic twist to the story is his housekeeper was Lee Harvey Oswald's mother, and he had just had dinner a few nights before at his house with Lee Harvey Oswald, which he knew very well. What would that have done to your politics today if you were in that? That opportunity of knowing that story would have never happened if I wasn't in Rotary. Another gentleman that I met one time here at this club, I sat at the table with him, right at this table, and that was Ross Perot Sr. He was your program. And I always remember something that he said in that program that has stuck to me. He said, people think I'm a genius for the electronics that I sell. He says, I don't know what most of those things do. I just hire the guys that couldn't organize a 2-car funeral. So I've always remembered that quote, and knowing that would have never happened if it wasn't for Rotary. Another gentleman that was kind of involved with your club, known for playing the piano, his father was past district governor in East Texas, was Van Cliburn. Van Cliburn was very, very generous to our district. And we were at a district event one time. We broke for a break. He walks to the corner of the room, sits down at the piano, and he starts playing the piano. We got a private concert from Van Cliburn at a Rotary event one time. That is an incredible opportunity. My passion in Rotary is anything to do with children. Anything that we can do to help the next generations be productive, be knowledgeable, wherever that takes us. We have 74 clubs in our district. Every club has their different type of programs they use for the different schools or programs or whatever it may be for that area. So I'm very passionate about RILA. RILA is our Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. It's essentially for high school students between their junior and senior year for the most part. And we take them for a 4-day leadership camp. This is the biggest project that we have in our district. It is an incredible project. The changes in these children are absolutely phenomenal between the time they get there and the time they leave. I'm asking everybody in our district to have a little piece of interest or a little piece of activity in RILA. We need counselors. Every year we have RILA, we have to turn away children because we don't have enough Rotary volunteers. Okay, we usually have about 130 kids. We could go up to 200 if we had the support on that. So I really encourage you to take a look at that. We just completed our 4-way speech contest, 4-way test speech contest, Janelle, and it was phenomenal, these speeches. I think you have one of the students going to be here in a couple of weeks. You need to be here for that. These students are absolutely incredible for their speaking abilities that they have there. So we have lots of projects throughout the district to help our children. My club that I'm in is the Fort Worth International Club. We're represented by a lot of international people. Our immediate past presidents from right outside of Paris, France. We have a gentleman here, which is your assistant governor for the Fort Worth Club, which is Hyacinth. And I've known Hyacinth for the better part of probably 25, 30 years, and I still can't pronounce his last name, so you did a great job. So, but Hyacinth is a great friend, and he says, you know what, the hospital that he was born at in Nigeria really needs support. They don't get government support. They don't get they get private support for everything they go, and they need a generator. So we worked to do a grant, do a program, and we put had a generator built and installed in Nigeria. So I decided that with Hyacinth's encouragement, I flew over to represent our club on the generator. So I fly over there. It takes a couple of days to get from Houston through Lagos to the Emu State, and I tear that up every time I say that. So I get there, and the night I get there, it's just getting dusk. I'm walking through, and they're showing me everything they have in the village. They have about a 2 acre or so area that's fenced in for the family compound or whatever you want to call that. I'm sure there's an official term for that. But so we're going around, and Hyacinth and his family and some Rotary members are showing me the big pen of chickens. They show me the big pen of ducks. They've got a big pen of rabbits. And we stop and we're talking, and they had a pen of 2 Nigerian pygmy goats. I don't know if you've ever seen a Nigerian pygmy goat or not. They're about the size of a medium dog. They have 2 speeds like a Jack Russell dog, turbo and off, nothing in between. They don't walk, they don't run, they bounce everywhere they go. They're just happy. So this little goat jumps up, puts his little hooves on the fence, puts his head underneath my hand, and forces me to pet the goat. And I said, hey, this guy likes me. And we're talking about other things. And I said, I think this guy really likes me. And then I go, I think I like this guy. So the next morning we get up, and I'm taking pictures because it's better light. And the chickens are kind of let out. So I'm taking pictures of the chickens. The ducks are kind of let out. The rabbits really aren't, but there's a few of them that are out anyway, because that's what rabbits do. And then we get to the goat pen, and there's only 1 goat there. And I said, oh, one of your goats got out. And they said, oh, no, that's the one you said you liked. And I said, yeah, your goat got out. And they said, oh, no, that's the one you liked. And I said, no, your goat. And then when I realized he was dinner the night before. So those are experiences. I know that y'all went to, was it Zimbabwe that y'all did about 3 years ago? Swaziland, okay, Swaziland. So I know you know how that is, because it is absolutely phenomenal to go on one of these international trips. Rotarians around the world will welcome you with open arms, and it's just a lot of fun. So who are we as Rotarians? You know, we bridge continents. We build communities. Of course, we know that we're service above self. We prevent and we cure diseases. We build minds. We bring hope. And we save lives. My question to you as a Rotarian is, what opportunities are you bringing to others, to getting them involved in your club, to getting them coming up with ideas on projects that you can do? I've been amazed with Rotary on all the thousands and hundreds of thousands of volunteers that do all kinds of wonderful programs for others in our community and others outside of our community. To close, once again, Rotary has opened up all kinds of opportunities for me. I am very proud to be called a Rotarian, and once again, I treasure every relationship I've ever had in Rotary. I'm going to close with a really corny joke, because that's what I do. Is a school teacher is teaching her little 1st grade class, and she's reading the book Chicken Little. And she says, and the chicken runs up to the farmer and says, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Teacher looks out over the students and says, what do you think the farmer said? This little girl raises her hand and she goes, holy cow, a talking chicken. So sometimes we look at things a little harder than we should, but thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. Carlo, thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Stay up here. Stay up here if you want. Well, Roger, That was great. And there's a couple things I can say for certain. First of all is I'm sure that the words pygmy goat have never been said in this room ever in the history of our club. But Roger is such an insightful, personal guy. We joke because we were both dealt the same interesting hand during COVID, as the majority of our term was during COVID. And Roger's humor, his grit, his determination, his vision, and he's just, this is why we're in Rotary. You like to do business with people that you know and that you like and you trust. And it has been a sincere honor being president during your term as district governor, because you are so likable, so fun-loving, but you get things done. It is a tradition of our Rotary Club, as you probably know, to donate a book to the Fort Worth Public Library in honor of your speech today. And this is a copy of the book plate that will go in that book forever. Thank you so much for being here. Another rousing applause for our district governor, please.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Good to see you, man.
Thank you. That was great. And Roger, I don't know if this is true in other clubs, but you always worry when the district governor comes that no one's going to show up. And so that I actually didn't have to grease the skids at all. I mean, your reputation has preceded you, and that was probably the best district governor presentation I've ever seen. So really, thank you so much for being here. We'd also like to thank our sponsor for today, Charles Schwab. We appreciate your sponsorship. And if you're interested in these personal, virtual hybrid meeting sponsorships, let us know. We'd love to take your money and put your name on the screen. We also have a few different meetings you can see on the screen here. Finance Committee, we've got the veteran and military support, and also the RMBA wrap-up meeting. So be sure and attend that if you're a part of that. Next, let's see, what do we have next? Oh, in 2 weeks. Okay, so next week, there's no meeting for Memorial Day, but in 2 weeks, we've got a really good one. We have Chancellor Victor Boschini coming to talk about what happened in the past, present, and future of higher education, and there's some amazing things happening at TCU, so be sure and mark your calendars for a couple weeks. And let's see. Thank you for not inviting me to Memorial Day. No, on Memorial Day, you can come. You can come give an encore performance. No meeting next week, but please RSVP. The TCU one on June 4th it'll be a packed house, so be sure and RSVP in advance. And finally, I'd like to ask if anyone would like to help learn how to use Zoom or how to operate the camera. We are recruiting for a tech committee. So if you are interested in helping us in 2 weeks on June 4th, it's really not as hard as it might look, but we'd love to skill you up and enable you to learn how to do this. It may help in other areas of your career as well. Please stay after this meeting and come see Chris or Tom, and we'll get you on the book. So again, everybody online, thank you for being here. We miss you. We love you. Everybody in person, so great to see you. This has been the Rotary Club of Fort Worth.